Okay, hello everybody. Thanks for introduction. And I heard that the previous speaker was more into technical stuff and very good questions he received from you guys with many very interesting stuff from technical side. Today I want to speak more about general stuff. So chill out and let's go into the topic, which is security in the cloud versus security of the cloud. I just extended a little bit more. Firstly, the agenda is very simple. I want to start with a definition, what is cloud, and then to go to further steps, why it's important to speak about this cloud security, why it's in current days, it's more probably important stuff for IT security specialists to shift in mind. So in the very beginning, I want to start with a definition of cloud. I hope that at least most of you have heard the term the cloud. Maybe some of you are already using it and hope that you know what is it. But for those who don't or those who maybe are not sure what is it, so basically I want to start with a definition. So according to NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technology of US, the cloud computing is some convenient way using network to access the shared pool of configurable computing resources like networks, server storage devices, applications, and services that can be rapidly provisioned and released with minimal management efforts of service provider interaction. So this is the formal way of saying what is cloud computing. Also, they say, as the Standards Institute of Standards and Technology, they want to make it sure that everybody understands exactly in the same way. So basically, they say that essential characteristics of cloud computing is that those services can be accessed on demand. So basically, you use as much as you want, as much as you need. You need to have network access. So basically, it means that it should be remotely accessible. Pooling, resource pooling. So basically, cloud means that it's almost like taking many computers into connecting them into one pool of resources and then sharing it to the users. And elasticity and measured service. There are service models, deployment models. So long story short, in other words, the cloud is simply the practice of using remote servers hosted on the internet to store, manage, and process data, rather than using local servers or personal computers. So I like also this meme saying that this unhappy, cloudy facey says unfortunately there is no cloud, there is only someone else's computer. So basically, yeah, it's a joke, but in a very simple way, you can imagine, like I said, many computers connected together, and basically all those resources from all those computers shared for the users around the world. Yeah. So long story short, shortly about the cloud. When we say security in the cloud, I emphasize the in part of the sentence. Yeah. So why is it? Why should we care, and what is the difference? Basically, security in the cloud versus security of the cloud. Yeah. So if you would see simply in some article, security in the cloud is something important, blah, 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 or security of the cloud is very important for us to know something, yeah, you probably wouldn't even notice the difference. It looks very similar terms, but basically in security, it's very different terms. So it just sounds like they could be simply different ways of saying the same thing, but actually they are very separate forms of security and very separate forms of mentality and mindset that security, modern engineers of security needs to know and polish these skills for their future success in this cloud security world. So very shortly, what is security of the cloud? Not the thing we are talking today. So security of the cloud basically refers to the safety of the cloud itself, of the resources, of the applications, of the data center facilities, etc. So basically something just to make the cloud itself secure. Yeah. So this is the most common and most similar way of what all organizations were doing before cloud in their premises. Basically trying to secure the perimeter, trying to secure the servers, limiting the physical access to the server so that no one, some stranger doesn't come to your server and put the flash drive, and Trojan horse put in the server or something. So basically, security of the cloud means securing the cloud itself. Another thing is security of the cloud basically involves all the procedures, all the technology, and all other measures required to secure the cloud itself, the data center and the cloud resources, against both external and insider cybersecurity threats. Another thing is when you're using the public cloud, I especially put those few of names, maybe some of you know AWS, like Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, DigitalOcean, or many, many more public cloud providers. So basically, if you are putting your data into those clouds, so they are responsible for taking care of this cloud security. Yeah, this is their part. But basically, at the point of time when you put any PDF file or whatever data in that cloud, basically you start sharing this information with that cloud provider. So basically you are sharing it with a third party. And it means that from that moment, you need to take this into the consideration. And of course, it needs, for you to have some specific skills, how to make sure that the security involves this third party as well. And this is something very different from traditional IT, where most data was held basically within the self-controlled network, yeah, inside your organization, even inside of the building of the organization. Now it's somewhere else in the clouds, in the sky, yeah. The last thing is basically security of the cloud. So basically understanding this security responsibility, that I now start to share my responsibility of the security of my data with some third party, is basically the first step for any security specialist in building the cloud security strategy. Security in the cloud, with the emphasis of the shorty wordy in. Basically, this means security in the cloud refers to the safety and awareness of the users itself, how they use cloud computing to store, process, and exchange data. What it means, actually, most of us are using Gmail or maybe Microsoft Office 365 Outlook, or maybe both, yeah? So like those applications or any other application that is operating in the cloud, no vendor will be able to secure your account if you give your password to the stranger, yeah? So this is very simple example of how to treat and how to understand what is how much responsibility you take into the consideration when using cloud applications. Maybe Gmail, Google, and Microsoft will be taking care perfectly of their servers, of their infrastructure. It will be bulletproof. But if you give your password to any stranger, so basically your account is in danger, and this is only on you, how you act in this cloud environment, yeah? So this is already forms the kind of understanding of what is security in the cloud, how you treat yourself, your data, and your users in the cloud. Basically, the organization then starts to be responsible for the data, for the applications they are running in the cloud, for the operating system of the server, for example, if they use simply infrastructure as a service from the resources, and any other assets that they are running in the cloud. This is already their responsibility, yeah? So this means this short word in. And basically, those organizations that do not understand this risk and do not understand this shared responsibility, that they are responsible for something. I hear sometimes organizations saying, I'm using Microsoft Cloud. I know Microsoft, I trust them. I feel super secure that their cloud is running perfectly smooth. Yeah. So this is true, but this is the only part of the reality. Yeah. They're running perfectly, but how you are running those. So I like to show this very short video where this game of trust, when you close your eyes and lean down. So basically in the cloud is the same. You need to trust when using the cloud, your provider, but you also need to be prepared. Yeah. So like this guy, his team looks like pretty strong and they would definitely catch him, but he fell to another direction. Yeah, so nobody will save you from that. So this is the same in the cloud. If you know where to fall, they will catch you, but you need to know this stuff. So at least you need to know the shared responsibility, what is inside of your hands and what is something that your cloud provider takes responsibility for. If to go to another maybe example and explanation why we are talking about that, so why it is different in the cloud and what is driving the change. So basically the main driver for the change is the different in our life. So if you see this left part of the slide, so life before cloud and mobility was very perimeter based. So organizations had their servers, had their data storage, etc., in some perimeter in their building or some another building they own, etc. They had their users sitting in the building, or 1 or 2 or 15, whatever. Yeah, but basically in the very defined perimeter, their computers were connected, even physically, like with the LAN cables, etc. Everybody knew where all the resources were put in the network, in the physical environment, etc. It was very clear what is the perimeter of our premises, what we need to secure, and it was one story. Yeah. So basically, resources were accessed only with the managed devices and networks. In typical organization of 10 or more years ago, if you take your own personal laptop, you will not be able to get even the computer. There was no Wi-Fi explicitly, and if you put a LAN cable to your computer, you would not get access to the internet. Yeah, because it was purely secured, very defined, and IT administrators, security guys, etc., they were controlling who and where can connect and get the access to resources, to internet, etc. Only sanctioned apps were installed by IT. So basically, it was nowhere possible to install any application, even different browser which you prefer. It was done only by IT. If you need some additional application, you need to get approval. You go to IT, they install the application, and then you have it. Unless you do this process, you are using those applications which are coming with a standard device. That's it. They are controlled. They are known for IT guys. They know their vulnerabilities. They can do some measures, security measures to overcome those vulnerabilities, and everything is quite secure. IT, like I said, knew all the security perimeter, had full visibility. They had stats, they had information, they have logs visible for them. They knew everything was going, what was going on in the organization itself. Yeah, and so they had this layer which they would be able to protect from the outside threats. Of course, they were not able to protect from inside threats maybe so efficiently, but from the outside, they were bulletproof, and it was like a brick wall. Yeah. When we have nowadays the organizations living with the cloud and mobility, one of the examples now in the COVID situation, everybody or most of us are working from home. So basically, you can imagine that this perimeter of organization disappeared. It was like broken down the wall, and basically now all the devices of the organization, all the users are somewhere in the world, not even in the same country. Yeah. Maybe my colleague is now currently working from some warm place near the ocean or somewhere. Yeah, so he has the same access to resources. He has the mobile device, he has the mobile computer which can be stolen, etc. So basically now this perimeter no longer exists, because we want to be free, we want to have this mobility, flexibility. We need employees from all over the countries. We need even students from all other countries. Students are studying in all other countries in the universities, etc. So basically everybody's everywhere. Yeah. Also, we use these clouds. I mentioned AWS, Microsoft, Google, whatever. Yeah, we use cloud applications like Google, like Facebook. Even in our daily work, when we are in the office, in the premises, we open Facebook, we write messages, we write posts, etc. We are vulnerable from the outside. Yeah. So as this perimeter was demolished, basically, so now the user can access data from almost everywhere. typically, in most of the companies, we can choose whatever apps we want to run in our laptop, in our mobile devices. So basically, this is another headache for the IT administrators, how to control it. Data is shared around the users. I can send almost everything from my organization through some kind of chat, messaging, or whatever app. Yeah, so it's more easy for me to consciously or unconsciously leak out some data from my organization. And IT has very limited visibility and protection against those external threats. Where it leads, basically the shift of the mindset of IT engineers and security specialists now shifts from the perimeter itself to data, where data resides, where it is located, and what risks are specifically for that data and that location. Yeah, so this is only the different way of showing the same what was in the previous slide. Previously, it was very clear, very defined threat vector. We used firewalls, antiviruses, intrusion preventions, and all other stuff to protect against outside viruses or outside threats in order for us to secure our workplace, our servers, our computers, our organization data. Now we have also some servers somewhere. We have computers maybe in this nice warm ocean place. Yeah. We have mobile devices. We have cloud resources. We store some data in the cloud. We use cloud software. We use some backups. We use some mobile devices sharing, etc. mechanisms. So basically, our organization data is no longer in one place. It's in at least few places, and usually it's dozens of places. Yeah. And we have these threats like viruses not only coming to our organization, but all those places where our data is. Yeah. So we need to take care not only our well-defined threat vector, but every place where our organization data is. Yeah. So we need to identify, look for those viruses or threats. We need to block them in order for our remote workers to be secure in their remote workplaces. We need to identify what are threats for our mobile devices that our users use. Yeah, we need to identify those threats and block them somehow. We use cloud services. We move our data to cloud. We also need to understand what threats are there in the cloud services. We need to block them, etc. So basically, the shift is from traditional perimeter-based security to the logical perimeter, which is no longer physical, but some logical blurred perimeter, and basically focus on data, where it is, and how we can secure the data itself. To do that, firstly, we need to start with responsibility. I already said that responsibility, this shared responsibility, understanding that I am no longer the only one person who has my own data in my own hands. Basically, there are many third parties that are now also touching my data. So while understanding this shared responsibility, I can then take respective measures. Yeah. So I like to try to explain complex things in the simple or even funny way. So basically, although you need to firstly understand that there is no single cloud, there is no only one way of treating the cloud. So also this shared responsibility model is different from the cloud model which we use. So I like to say that it's it's like sharing your own risk to have burnt pizza for dinner. So pizza as a service. If we would imagine the cloud as a pizza dinner, yeah. So traditional on-premises legacy infrastructure was something like doing everything your own. I need to, make sure that I have cheese, I have toppings, tomato sauce. I need to make the pizza dough. Maybe I can buy it already frozen, but maybe I need to do it myself. I need to make sure that I have an oven. I need to make sure that I have a dining table, and I'm doing myself everything. So responsibility for me to breaking my dinner and having the burnt pizza and having the bad dinner is only on my side. If I do it correctly, I will always be happy. Yeah. But if I mess something up, so I will be the only one responsible for that. So this traditional on-premises legacy infrastructure, security, etc., is something like this. It's like making a pizza at home from scratch. Infrastructure as a service. If you use cloud services, like if you get only infrastructure like servers, you eliminate your need for hardware, but basically you still need to take care of everything from operating system, from patching, from putting the security updates into Windows or Linux operation system. I need to take care of my own application, etc. So I am responsible for the security, everything from the virtual server level. So it's like having a kind of take and bake. I buy a pizza, maybe frozen pizza from the local supermarket, or maybe I can take it home from some beloved pizza house, whatever. Yeah, but basically, I am not responsible now for making sure that pizza is prepared well, but I still need to take care myself, the oven, the fire, the drinking dining table, the drinks, etc. I need to warm it and then bake it so I can have my fine dining. Yeah. So in this case, I share already the responsibility. I can have perfect table, I can have perfect oven, but if there were bad ingredients, etc., pizza will be bad. Yeah. But if pizza will be good and I overburn it, I still will have the bad dinner at my home. Yeah. So infrastructure as a service is something similar to take and bake. Platform as a service. In the cloud perspective, it's something that I no longer even need to take care of Windows operating system in very rough estimation. Yeah, basically it's something that my cloud provider makes sure that I have virtual machines, make sure that the Windows or Linux operating systems are running, etc. I simply need to take care only the application which I put in that service. So it's more like a pizza delivery. So I don't need even to have a gas stove or electrical oven or whatever. Yeah, I order the pizza. The pizza delivery guy takes it to my home. I open it. I simply need to have a table, maybe some drinks, and I can have my good dining at home. Yeah. So I have less and less responsibility for making sure and less and less risk that I will be hungry this evening because I will not be able to eat my pizza. So platform as a service is something like pizza delivery. And software as a service, for example, I like to say very easy, understandable example. So it's a Gmail. Yeah, I simply need to log in into the application, and I can start sending emails and getting emails from the same moment I open the mailbox. Yeah. So this is software as a service in the cloud terms. So it's something like dining out. I am not responsible for anything, just keeping my password secure. I simply use that application, and all the responsibility, all the risk of me having a bad dinner is on the restaurant which I go to. Hope this is more clear. If you put shared responsibility or cloud infrastructure as a service or cloud platform as a service into Google, you will find those examples, maybe not in the pizza way, but in those pillars, and you will be able to see how those responsibilities are different going from one cloud platform to another. This is also one way of showing that typically those organizations, when I said that, I sometimes hear that they are saying that, oh, I use Microsoft services and they are bulletproof. So they are seeing like this also a very famous example of iceberg. They are seeing only the tip of the responsibility. Yes, they are keeping the physical security in the correct way. They are taking care that computing, storage, network resources are running, operational. They remove and change some malfunctioning devices so that they make sure that their infrastructure is up and running. But basically, you are this big part below the surface of the ocean, where you need to take care that your customer data is secure, your users are secure, you do not share the access to somebody else, some strangers, or if people are going out of your organization, you are taking out the control from the data from them. Yeah. You need to take care of client-side security. You need to take care of server-side security, of network traffic, whether you use secure network connection or not. So basically, this is the below, everything that is below the surface. Yeah. So if to go further, we now have discussed that, yes, we now understand that we are responsible for the security, how we treat the cloud services and how secure is our information in the cloud. So for that, we need to understand what are the possible security risks when I'm in the cloud. So we are now talking not about the security of the cloud, but basically what are typical risks for the security in the cloud. So first and most important is poor access management. So the most security vulnerabilities and most data leaks in the cloud happens because of poor access management, and that basically hackers has a very easy way of simply taking over the access and going into our resources, stealing them, leaking them, or whatever, without even putting too much efforts into breaking some firewalls or something. Yeah. If I get the password for my friend's account, I can simply access it and nobody even notice it. Yeah. So I have my own time, how much time I want. I can do whatever, scroll through his pictures or emails or whatever for the time, how much time I want. This is because nobody even knows that it's me, because I'm authorized, I'm using his access credentials. So basically, even the best security guys, they will see that this is Mantas, not Vytenis, connected to the account, and they will not do anything. Yeah, even though it's Vytenis, not Mantas. So what are the measures? Most effective measure is multi-factor authentication. Those who haven't heard about this, please note it down and read more about it and start implementing it even in your own devices, in your own Facebook or Gmail profile, because you will know then understand what it is and why it's important. And basically laying out the access management. So doing the layering and having more roles and more visible access management is the way to go when you are using the cloud, because everything is firstly relies on access, because your cloud is no longer in the same perimeter. It's accessible for your users from around the world. So basically it's also accessible from all the hackers around the world as well. Data breach and data leak. This is something also very important. It means that somebody who didn't have the credentials to get the data, they got it and they leaked it. So maybe you heard about the GDPR, etc. So this is one of the regulations how the governments are trying to make organizations think more about the security of data breaching and data leaking. So measures, it's also the same multi-factor authentication. More we secure our access, more we have the control of our data. Data encryption, so that even if somebody hacks into our system and copies all our database, if the data will be encrypted, we will have no harm. Yeah, the data leaked, if it will be encrypted, it will not be any harm for our users, for our sensitive data, etc. Perimeter firewall. So also even if we have logical perimeter, not the physical one, if we have blurred one, but we need to identify where our data is residing and try to put the firewalls and to make it more difficult for some hackers to go into and hack into this data. And of course, internal firewalls for those data which we keep in our organization, in applications, web application firewalls, etc., is something that can help us secure us from the data leak and data breach. Third point, third security risk is data loss. So basically, one of most common reasons of the data loss is data alteration or unreliable storage control. So basically, what are the measures? Are backups and geodiversity. Geodiversity means that we keep the data not only in one place, so that even if the hackers come, they take over our data, they steal our data, they make it inaccessible for us. But if we keep this data also in some another region, another cloud, another environment, we will be able to recover ourselves. We will get access to this data. So if we talk about the second and third points, the main difference is when data is leaked, I have also the access still, I keep the access to that data, but also it's leaked for everybody else, yeah? So this is about the confidentiality, about the critical data, about some secrets, etc. That data loss is usually something that I no longer have access to my data. So this is something that blocks my work, blocks my operations, and maybe I go bankrupt because I no longer have my data and I can no longer proceed with my operations. Fourth risk is insecure API. So application user interface is one of the most important stuff in cloud, because if I want my cloud applications, my Microsoft application to talk with my web application running in Google Cloud, and some maybe Active Directory running in my on-premises, in my on-premise infrastructure, all those services and systems will be communicating to each other using APIs. So basically, insecure APIs is something that like having open doors into your very secure bank vault. Yeah. So this is something that was not so important when we used communication between systems only in our close perimeter. Now, when our systems are there out in the world, so basically this API is something like another user. So we need to take very serious considerations about how to secure it. Common measures: penetration testing, security audits, socket and transport layer encryption security, the same multi-factor authentication, even for the API connections. We want to make sure that our applications are not vulnerable in the way that when they are transmitting data from one to another. Fifth one, misconfigured cloud storage or cloud resources. So basically, misconfiguration, lack of knowledge, or lack of configuration of cloud services usually is very important stuff, because we miss some configurations, and thus we make some vulnerabilities that hackers can hack into our systems that are running in the cloud. What are measures? This is very important for most of you guys, the students, the young people that are seeking for their career in IT security. So you need to start learning. You need to start understanding these changes in the security. You need to do trainings, have certifications in cloud, in public, in those most popular cloud platforms. You need to understand what is AWS, what is Google Cloud, what is Microsoft Cloud, how you need to configure them in order for them to be secured, etc. So training, and gaining skills of how this configuration should be put in the correct way is something that is most important now. And of course, DOS attacks or DDoS attacks, denial of service attacks. This is something also very important for the applications running in the cloud that has exposure to the internet. Basically, there is very few methods how we can block those attacks, but we need to try at least blocking them. So blocking the IP addresses from the regions where there is no my customers or no my users that would need to have access from those regions. One thing, scrubbing redundancy of DNS servers like Cloudflare, etc. You need to hide yourself from the publicly known DNSs so that hackers don't know or have some need to spend some more efforts in order to disclose your IP addresses. Up-to-date intrusion detection systems, firewall and traffic inspection. These are the things that you at least can try to help yourself to survive the DOS attacks. So these are a few key risks. And another thing that is not less important is what are top 5 competencies for the modern IT security specialist. This is I want something to wrap up with. So basically, now IT security specialists even more need to have soft and social skills. So together with those hard security technological skills, they need to have soft and social skills, because they need to be closer to the business and better understand business related relevant threats. Because if you would like this classical example, if you will be the typical IT administrator which simply sits in his basement of the organization and even doesn't see the business people, he will not even know that business is using some cloud application, and that most of your organization data is basically there in the cloud. So basically you need to have these skills. You need to talk with business people, because they are the ones who are your most vulnerable part now. So not the perimeter, but basically people. And social engineering is most biggest threat, and it comes from soft skills and soft people, soft resources. Second thing is threat and risk assessment skills. So now it is even more important than previously. Ability to assess what is relevant and select appropriate measures, and compromise between lockout and innovations, because now there is no possibility, especially for example now when COVID is there in place and everybody is working from home. So basically there is no way for the security guy to say that, no, I will not allow our database to be accessed from remote resources. Yeah, I allow it only to be accessed from our internal network, our office network. It's no longer applicable because people are there in their homes, in their different countries, different cities, etc. So you need to have this ability to be flexible and to find the security measures depending on the changing environment. Second thing is, like I already said in the previous slide, security in the cloud. So basically now modern IT security specialists need to understand what is the difference of security in the cloud, all the stuff I talked before, and how to secure your organization, how to secure your organization data in residing in all those different places in the cloud. Fourth thing is DevSecOps, like I said, development, security, and operations. More than ever, now it needs to be, this competency needs to be in the blood of IT security specialist, because IT security specialist is no longer the guy to whom the development team comes already when they have the working product. Basically, IT security needs to be the advisor working from the very beginning of the product development, so that security measures are hard-coded into the system, into the product, because it needs to be secure from inside, because all those standard typical perimeter-based security will no longer work with a developed product. Yeah, so security needs to be in the development cycle, in the whole development cycle, not after it. And the fifth, it's about surveillance and rationality. So you need to be able to gather and assess huge amounts of data, huge amounts of false positive alerts, because more and more places there are in your organization, more and more false positives you will see, more and more data you will need to handle. So basically you need to be quick and rationally assess the risks, threats, and loss, because you will no longer be able to secure every place where your organizational data resides in the same way that you treat your internal organization security. So this is very important skill, and this is something that modern IT security specialists needs to have in the modern organization.